You wake to a cold so clean it feels like the first morning of the world. Through the curved glass beside you, light comes pale and enormous across a land of white and blue. Ice stretching unbroken to a horizon so far away, it seems to curve with the earth itself. There is no sound but the wind, and even that is distant, hushed, as though the whole continent were holding its breath. You lie still for a moment, watching the light move across a sky the color of deep water. And then you understand where you are. You have woken at the bottom of the world, on the last great wilderness humanity ever agreed to leave alone. You rise, and your home is small and warm and quiet. A single gentle structure resting lightly upon the ice, touching it as softly as a held breath. You move to the window, and the land reveals itself in full, and it takes your breath away. Glaciers flow in frozen rivers toward a sea dotted with drifting ice. Mountains of black rock rise through the white, and in the distance, where the ice meets the water, you see life, dense and teeming. Colonies of creatures gathered in their countless thousands along a shore no city will ever touch. You realize that this continent was never conquered, never built upon, never carved into property. In an age when humanity reached the oceans and Mars and the orbital gardens above, it chose, deliberately, to leave one whole continent wild. You step outside, and the air meets you sharp and pure and astonishing, so clean it almost aches in your chest. There is no haze, no scent of anything made by human hands, only ice and salt and the vast cold breath of the south. You understand quickly why this place feels so different from every future city you have known. Here, humanity is the guest. The handful of people who live upon this continent do so lightly and reverently, their few small homes scattered far apart, leaving the wilderness to belong to itself. This is not a place people came to settle. It is a place they came to protect. A small craft drifts up to meet you, silent and slow, and you step inside. It lifts and glides low over the ice, and you discover that even here at the edge of the world, the old chaos was left behind. The craft moves quietly, guided by a single careful mind, charting a path that disturbs nothing, that frightens no creature, and scars no snow. You watch the ice slide past below, and you realize the few craft that move across this continent are bound by a deeper rule than convenience. They go where the wild permits, and nowhere it does not. The craft sets you down near the teeming shore at a respectful distance, and you discover the true purpose of the people here. They are not tourists and not settlers. They are keepers, watching over the great wild systems of the South, tending nothing and taking nothing, only learning. You find a small group gathered, observing the colonies along the water, their work unhurried and patient. You realize that humanity, having gained the power to reshape whole worlds, chose to use a measure of that power simply to stand guard over one place and let it remain exactly as it had always been. You move on across the ice toward a quiet research home, and you find children there, a few of them, born to the keepers of this place. You wait for a school and find only wonder. One child is shaping a model of the great ocean currents that wrap the continent. Another is listening to recordings of the deep songs that move beneath the ice. A patient presence guides each of them along the thread of their own curiosity, and you realize these children are growing up in the company of one of the last untouched places on Earth, learning to love it precisely because no one ever taught them to own it. You pass the keepers as you go, and you notice their unhurried calm, the quiet attentiveness in how they move through this fragile place. You meet the eyes of one who seems no older than 40, and somehow you know they have lived a century or more, that they have given decades of a very long life to watching over this ice. The long life reached even here, and many who could live anywhere in the solar system have chosen instead to spend their abundant years standing guard at the bottom of the world. If this last wild place is stirring something in you, a sense of what is worth protecting even now, take a moment to subscribe and journey onward with us. Every place we explore together is a reminder of what we are still capable of choosing. The more of us who hold this wilderness in mind, the safer it remains. Now, let the journey continue. You rise into the air once more, and the craft carries you high above the continent. And from here you understand the scale of what was set aside. The wilderness runs unbroken in every direction, white and vast and silent, larger than nations, and across the whole of it, there is almost no mark of human hands at all. No cities, no roads, no fields, only the ancient ice and the life that clings to its edges, left to follow its own slow rhythms as it has for ages beyond counting. You realize that this restraint was not weakness or neglect. It was one of the proudest choices humanity ever made, the decision that some things are worth more left untouched than used. The craft carries you toward the coast, where the ice meets the open sea, and there you watch the great cycle of this place unfold. The ice calving slowly into the water, the creatures of the south moving between land and sea in their countless numbers, the whole vast living machine of the continent turning without any need of human hands. You understand that the keepers do not run this place. They only protect its right to run itself, and in doing so, they protect something the old world had nearly forgotten: the simple existence of a wild thing left wild. You descend as the long light begins at last to soften, the white turning to gold and rose across the endless ice. The few keepers gather in a single warm home to share food and quiet talk, their voices low and easy in the great silence around them. And you notice the thing beneath it all. There is reverence here, a kind of peace that comes not from comfort, but from being small in the presence of something vast and ancient and alive. You find a quiet place at the edge of the ice and sit, and the light deepens across the frozen land, and far off the colonies murmur along the shore. You watch a child point toward a great creature surfacing in the distant water, asking a question you cannot hear, and you watch a keeper who has guarded this place for 100 years answer with a smile. And it settles over you, the meaning of where you sit. None of this was inevitable. This last wild continent was not preserved by chance. In an age when humanity could have taken anything, it chose to take nothing here, to set aside one whole corner of its first home and simply let it be. That choice was made and kept and renewed across the centuries by people who understood that a civilization is measured not only by what it builds, but by what it has the wisdom to leave alone. You lean back against the cold, clean wind and look out across the endless ice toward the gathering light. And a single thought stays with you as the last wild continent glows beneath the southern sky. This is what we became when we learned that not everything was ours to use. And quietly, somewhere within you, you begin to believe that we will keep it so.